Hello. I want to start with a story from literature. In Ernest Hemingway's novel, The Sun Also Rises, a character named Mike is asked, "How did you go bankrupt?" And he said, 2 ways. First gradually, then suddenly. Now, that's a wonderful metaphor for how both technology and social change happen. They happen gradually, then suddenly. Climate change, gradually, then suddenly. The revolt against inequality, gradually, then suddenly. But also this world of technology that we live in. So I want to spend a moment talking about why things happen gradually, then suddenly. First by reference to something that's been in the news a fair amount lately because of the Uber IPO. Think about this idea of ride sharing. It turns out that the idea of matching up people with a GPS-enabled phone was first proposed in 1999. There was a patent filed on it by a guy named Sunil Paul in 2000. Yet when Uber started in 2008, they were just using SMS to call black cars. The idea that we have today of drivers showing up in their own cars, of really matching up passengers using that GPS smartphone was really first implemented in 2011, 2012, started to take off pretty rapidly. And why was it that it took so long? The idea was out there. Almost everything we saw was described in Sunil's patents. And the reason is twofold. First was that all of the technology was not yet in place. There weren't enough smartphones for the market to have critical mass, but there were also missing types of infrastructure. You think about payment, for example. Well, Braintree and then even Stripe later, we're not out till 2007, 2008. The iPhone came out 2007. The idea of actually having apps on the phone, not till 2008, the marketplaces. So all these pieces were not yet in place for that technology idea that someone had to come together. But there was also a failure of imagination. The very first connected taxicabs, they knew what the internet was for. You put a screen in the back of the car and you showed content with ads. That was what the internet was good for, right? That was the business model. And so it takes a while for us to understand the new technology. And you see this sort of jostling progress by entrepreneurs where they invent one thing and then another, and gradually it comes together. And I would like to say that we're in that stage now around technologies like artificial intelligence, social networking. So I want to give you a picture of the big arc of these kinds of technologies. Now, first of all, again, the idea was recognized a long time ago. In 1960, J.C.R. Licklider, who was the legendary DARPA program manager who funded the original work that led to the internet, wrote a paper called Man-Machine Symbiosis. I like to say human-machine symbiosis now. But it was basically this idea that humans and machines would somehow be connected together and be able to think in ways that we had never thought before. And that's a wonderful description of what the internet started to bring to us. And back around 2004, 2005, when I was promulgating the term Web 2.0, it was all about the possibilities of the internet for collective intelligence. You look at the way Google learns from all its users. We saw these collective projects like Wikipedia, vast open source software projects connecting people from all over the world using the internet. And we said, wow, there's this enormous potential. And we were all very happy about that potential. And now, of course, we're seeing some of the dark sides. Because what has happened is that the internet has connected now billions of people into a single global brain. Things that happen propagate through Twitter and Facebook from one side of the world to the other literally in moments. And they start to affect us. And we also see very interesting intrusions into that space where people are creating bots, false humans, to be part of this collective intelligence. And we're grappling with what are the right models for how to think about it. And then we have the introduction of artificial intelligence. And once again, we have a lot of bad ideas that are holding us back. And the first one is the idea from science fiction that AI is sort of a separate intelligence, rather than a collective intelligence binding us together. I believe that the AIs we need to understand are what you could call hybrid artificial intelligences, like Google, that take billions of humans interacting through the internet, add in computer algorithms, and bring something together out of it, a kind of collective intelligence. And I want to say that our financial markets are also one of these collective intelligences. Now, here's the thing that you must understand about AI, is that AI is designed and managed by people. And embedded in that are our biases. Embedded in that are the things that we ask it to do. In my book, which there's some copies of out there, I compare AI to the genies of Arabian mythology. You give it a wish, and of course, as you know from the stories, we always get the wish wrong. Facebook thought that telling its algorithms to optimize for sharing engagement would lead to a better world. They were wrong. And I think our financial markets also have a false objective function, an optimization function that says you must optimize for shareholder value rather than human flourishing. But I think we can get it right. And I think there is an opportunity for us to harness AI to build this world that we're all here dreaming about, where we are building a world for people, by people, and with technology as a tool to augment our capabilities to solve the world's great problems. But it does mean debugging and refining and changing the fundamental algorithms that we are building into our machines, and in particular into our markets. Thank you.